In part 1, we looked at the world of The Witcher Wild Hunt. And in part 2, we looked at the mechanics you are going to be using to traverse that world. But in this video, we're going to look at what you will be doing in that world. The jobs you will take, the games you will play, the people that you will meet, and the conversations that you will have. And of course, we'll be looking at the story you're going to live. No Witcher game would be complete without a few mini-games, some physical or mental challenges, some games of luck, perhaps fist-fighting, arm wrestling or rolling dice. And in Witcher 3, the game is Gwent.
You strike me as a man of the world. Are you familiar with Gwent?
No, and I don't have time to learn.
But the rules are quite simple. Come, let's play.
It's a card game that simulates a battle. You have rows, battle lines, so to speak, and you place your pieces on the board, your cards on the board, each round and try to win. Or maybe. You see, Gwent seems to have quite a strategic aspect to it, so that perhaps sometimes it's actually better to lose a round, so that you make your enemy use up his major cards. And in general, it actually looks very interesting. It looks like it's going to be an enjoyable game in of itself. Now, I believe you can actually find cards on your travels. You could buy them or loot them and add them to your deck, and this will give you an advantage when you're playing. I also think there are tournaments, organised events where you can actually enter and win great prizes. So there are quests completely revolving around the idea of playing Gwent. All in all, I'm actually quite surprised how much I'm looking forward to trying this game out, because I'm fairly well known for hating mini-games with a passion. And not only did I not hate this one, I actually enjoyed it and really kind of want to get good at it.
If you ever find yourself in Oxenfurt and wish to play a true master, ask for Stepan. A simple innkeep by trade, but a true maestro when it comes to Gwent.
I'll remember that. Thanks.
Obviously, in a story-driven game such as Witcher Wild Hunt, NPCs and the conversations you have with them are very important.
The gentleman will be seated on the bergère.
The what now?
In that chair.
The NPCs in the Wild Hunt are really well done. They look great. There's a lot of variety, but more than anything, the dialogue is really, really good. It's well written. It's well delivered. They've got some great voice acting, including such actors as Charles Dance, who plays the Emperor.
Hey.
Do you believe I drag you here in the middle of a war to discuss a rumor?
I think anyone can be wrong, even an emperor.
I had forgotten how insolent you can be.
You may have heard of him in TV shows such as The Game of Thrones. He is Tywin Lannister, and he makes an exceptionally good Emperor. But it's also the way the conversations flow, the dialogue that Geralt has with NPCs, it feels a lot more fluid than in previous games. You have a little more control over, the sort of things you're going to say. It almost feels like Geralt has mellowed a little in his old age. He can actually almost be pleasant now, rather than constantly being unpleasant.
What happened here?
Oh, got a wee bit chilly the night, so I set fire to my forge. Got it nice and roaring. Roasted some wieners. What do you think happened, dimwit? Some bugger set alight me workshop. I've lost everything. Everything!
Sorry.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that Geralt has had a personality transplant and become Mr. Charming. He's still blunt, rough, to the point. He's still very threatening and can be very, very unpleasant. I mean, if you want to play him completely unpleasant, you can.
Go away, or I'll kill you.
It's just occasionally now you get the option to actually have a civil conversation, and again it depends on who you're having a conversation with, and be almost pleasant.
At this point, doubt I'll ever marry. You keep the coin for Mandy, her wedding. Raise a toast to my health then.
Thank you, Master Witcher. Them's warm words. You've a good heart.
And of course, good dialogue really does help make the people feel real, which makes the choices that you make, the things that you do around the world, feel that much more real. When you build a kind of personal connection with some of these NPCs, what happens to them really means something to you. And of course this is pretty important, because understanding the consequences of the choices you have made is a big part of the Witcher experience, at least for me it is. And of course that brings us neatly on to the subject of quests, both the main quest and the side quests. Now obviously Geralt has a main quest, the one that sort of drives the main story. However, there are a lot of other things to do in the Witcher's world, and Geralt is a Witcher, and his skills are in demand, so you will constantly find people who ask you to do things. You will find the typical board with lots of notices, with normal tasks, and even Witcher contracts. And whilst I've only scratched the surface of these quests, I can tell you they felt really well done. They felt very personal. They felt as if you weren't just doing some random task. You were doing something that was important to someone. Someone really wanted you to succeed at what you were doing because either their life or someone else's life depended on it, or perhaps their livelihood or something. They had something invested in it. You understood what that investment was.
Carts riddled with arrows. Interesting. I should take a look around.
And thus it felt more real.
So it's not just FedEx quests of, alright, so if I want to defeat this creature, I have to defeat the 3 totems or whatever. There's a story behind basically everything that you do in order to get closer to the beast or your target.
And you also had things like Witcher contracts where you had to go off and kill various beasts. But they're not just simple tasks of go to point A, kill creature, come home, get reward. No, in this game you're going to play the part of the hunter. You're going to try and figure out what your prey is doing and why they are doing it. You're going to be using all of your skills. You're going to use something called the Witcher sense to be able to track the animal or find clues as to a ghost's existence. Why is this ghost here?
Bloodstains, barely visible. Someone was dragged this way. Someone who was still alive.
What do you need to do to defeat a certain monster, and why is that monster where they are? Why are they now killing humans in the neighborhood? What drove them out of their natural habitat?
There's a lot of preparation, of course, and we have still a lot of focus on that because Geralt is also a preemptive fighter. So this is an important thing that comes from, for example, monster hunting, that you do a little research into the thing that you are going to fight based on local lore, the people's opinions and feedback, and the events happening. All will collect a bit of information that will result in knowledge based on the monster you're going to fight. And that will always come with some extra information, like what are its weaknesses, what kind of potions or things or bombs you need to have at your disposal to fight it more efficiently.
Female. Larvae in her wounds have already hatched. Been dead at least a week. Other griffin must be a male.
All of these things will help you track and kill your prey, and they're all very important. And you end up feeling more like a detective, more like a true hunter than just somebody doing quests.
Beak tips worn. Gray hairs in the coat. 10, 12 years old.
There's a lot of really nicely and well written information that you can, so it's not just data, it's not just distances, sizes of feather, whatever, it's part of the lore.
And once again, this kind of feature brilliantly emphasizes the nature of choices in this game. The fact that nothing you do is clearly good or evil, that looked at from another perspective, perhaps the monster's perspective or the ghost's perspective, you might be doing something, well, bad. And this is an incredible thing. This is something that has been there in the Witcher series, and of course I am very glad not just to see it still in the Wild Hunt, but to see it emphasized. And you shouldn't think that the effect these quests have is just on you. It also affects the world. So if you clear an area of monsters, if you take a task to do something that frees an area of whatever was hunting there, sometimes people will move in. A village will spring up where an abandoned village used to be. A fully thriving village will now appear with traders, perhaps with new quests, and so on. And so as you travel through the land, you are actually going to have a very real effect on it. And for all I know, an effect on your main quest. On the subject of the main quest, obviously I have to be careful not to give too many spoilers, although that's not that difficult because I didn't play enough to really get very deep into that storyline. However, I can tell you, not only is it very, very well delivered, but it's delivered in a way that will allow players who are new to the Witcher series to pick it up and play without much trouble. Obviously, if you have either read the books or played the previous two games, you will understand the backstory far better. You will have a deeper understanding of the characters' relationships. But honestly, if you're completely new to the series and you're wondering whether you can jump in to this game and follow what is going on, the answer is yes. The game does a very good job of telling you all of the really important things without it being too obvious that they're telling you. The story has a kind of dark intrigue feeling to it, as well as an adventure. It also feels a little complex underneath. There are alliances that are a little unexpected. You'll find yourself being suspicious of people you consider friends or even loved ones. You're always questioning the motives and trying to spot the angle someone else has got. This kind of thing's pretty typical for Geralt of Rivia, so no big surprise. Just keep in mind that I didn't play too far into the main story. However, from everything I've seen so far, from the story to the incredible open world, I think this game has got all the ingredients needed to become a truly great game. This could be one of the best games of 2015. But of course it is too early to say. The only thing I can say for certain is I am really looking forward to playing this game. There is absolutely no doubt on this. I will be playing The Witcher Wild Hunt. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of my preview of The Witcher Wild Hunt. I do realise I have almost certainly not answered every single question that you have, and there are one or two other things I would like to talk about, including, for example, modding, but I'm going to be leaving that for a live podcast, a Q&A session that I'm going to be doing over on my Twitch channel on Sunday, the 3rd of May, obviously. That's a few days away. If you would like to join me for that and ask your questions, you are more than welcome. I will also be giving away several copies of The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings, courtesy of CD Projekt Red, and I will try to answer as many questions as I can, although I suspect many of them are going to be about the beards. If you're new to my channel, don't ask. Just, you'll get used to it. It is going to start at 9 PM and I will leave a link down below that will tell you the time in your own time zone, as well as a link to my channel. And so all that's left to do now is give a big thank you to CD Projekt Red for inviting me to an incredible preview event, and of course, a big thank you to you, the viewer. Thank you for joining me on this journey. and I hope to see you again.